All praises to the Most High. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, whom some call Sophia, and our brother Yahweh Shai. Grand Rising Mishpachah. Right now, we are about to go into a lesson proving the differences between hell and Sheol. I was on TikTok a few days ago on our brother Judah's latest video detailing the late Jesse Jackson, his dealings with Psalms 83. And it's apparent that the heathens and the Blassels really didn't like what was being said. And that's when the Christian dogma started to emerge. And a lot of this rhetoric was coming from people who claim to be awakened. Like we stated before, if you learned it in the abominable church, it is false. If you knew the name was false, the image was false, why wouldn't all of their doctrines be false? So what we're about to do right now, we're about to go into a lesson and prove that our ancestors, the ancient Israelites, we had no concept of what the Christians call hell, where you burned for all eternity. We had a concept of Sheol, where the good and the bad both went, where the wicked and the righteous, they both departed toward. Because when you think about the concept of hell in regards to Christian dogma, why do they tell you you go to hell? It's not because you're bad. It's not because you've stolen. It's not because you committed any iniquity. They tell you if you don't call on their false deity, white Jebus, you're going to hell. And hell is a Greek concept. That's why it has a heavy influence in the so-called New Testament. Hell means the grave, or it means a very bad situation. Even today, we still use the word hell in those circumstances. Man, this person is giving me hell. Is this person really giving you a place allegedly under the earth where you burn forever? No, they're giving you a very hard time. So let's go through the comments on our brother's latest video. Okay, the brother DH says Psalms 83, of course. Okay, we're going to pause this. Okay, we're not going to deal with that one. That's just more 12 tribe chart nonsense. Now let's take a look at this one. Greedy Grady. He dead. He ain't stood before no one. So you're going to come here and judge someone? We have a lot to learn. First off, there's no we. You're not us. And notice how they never deal with the points. And I just put in response, Proverbs 25:8, You're a heathen, so you can't get it. Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Most High understand all things. You know what? Let's scroll further down. Another blasphemer. Bless you, Jesse. At least you did something, some of these people doing nothing. Our brother has put in more work than that blasphemer could do several times over, because we all know that he was in league with Psalms 83. So he was not us. And I made that clear. And I put he helped our enemies, shows what you know. The brother Yehukanan right here, just laughing. Okay. Lee, he busted that lake of fire wide open. All praises to the Most High. Acknowledge Mother Wisdom. Sold out my people. All praises to the Most High. You see the usuals are here. Earth Angel, Nathaniel. And now here's more Christian dogma. He's sleeping until the judgment. Sleeping means death. See, in Christianity, you're taught that when you die, you're just at rest. You know, I'm hardly on TikTok. Yeah, I set myself on a 1 hour limit. Let's go back to it. He's sleeping until the judgment. I said that's Christian folly. He's feeling his judgment as we speak. Then it's always somebody ignorant. Just they put up the 100, no understanding, no precepts or anything. Here's another comment. Once a soul goes to the grave and sits in the seat of judgment, all the BS on earth goes out the window and you sit in front of the Most Highest. You don't get a lawyer and there's no speaking needed. The words are required. These are all Christians. This is incorrect too. Your soul goes to Sheol. And my response, a lot of you really believe in Christian dogma. There's no hell, according to their understanding. It's a fear tactic to keep people calling on their false pagan white Jebus. There's only Sheol. More Christian rhetoric. We can't speak on this. Who is this we? They speak just like the heathen. Well, you're not allowed to speak on this. Jesse did a lot of bad, but we all sin and fall short of the glory of God, because we know we don't worship the same creator. See, he made a God of his own. This person made a God of their own choosing. Now, show where we can't speak on this. Once again, as you notice, no precepts, no scriptures or anything, or nothing to prove our brother wrong. Brother, he is sleeping until judgment day. Sleep means death. And once again, that's a false Christian concept. He's in Sheol feeling what the Most High had in store for him. Somebody put his spirit will run away from judgment, and his brothers and sisters told him, and what Jesse did was a demonic force, and somewhat I feel like a lot of them sacrificed us for their way of ease. Exactly. They wanted the dainties of Babylon. Then this person put, we are the judges, and we all start to think the same. We become power because we are the same. Now, one thing I don't agree with, we are not all the same, because wisdom only dwells in Zion. Somebody put right, somebody unlearned. And you know, this person is probably claiming to be a Hebrew because there's a lion on the thumbnail. He didn't, he's asleep waiting judgment day. See, and this person Sarah Judah Israel, professing to be an Israelite, but still pushing Christian dogma. And I understand that we are all at certain stages in this awakening. This is why we need to study to show ourselves approved. Sleep means death. For those who don't know, I will reiterate this again. I'm one of those people, I wasn't raised in Christianity. I was actually raised as an Israelite. And just a few days ago, I sent a picture of my granddad and myself at Passover. I think I was probably maybe around 6 or 7. And my granddad had his garb on and he had his big staff. So I guess it's kind of easier for me because I wasn't really ingrained in Christianity. So a lot of things growing up, I was already taught from a Hebraic standpoint. Now let's go and bring out these scriptures and show the differences between hell and Sheol. Now, I've had this source for a few years, and right now I guess it's the appropriate time to bring it out. The name of this book is called An Inquiry into the Scriptural Import of the words Sheol, Hades, Tartarus, and Gehenna, all translated hell. So once again, we're working with heathen transliterations, all translated hell in the common English language. It was written by Walter Balfour, published in 1824. An Inquiry, etc., Chapter 1. Words are signs of men's ideas and were used as such by the inspired writers. Well, we know they weren't inspired if it didn't come from the Most High, as they must be by every man who speaks and writes to be understood. To understand their writings, it is necessary to ascertain what sense they affix to their words. And this we can only learn by consulting scripture usage of them. That men have attached ideas to some scripture words and phrases which the inspired writers never meant to convey by them, we think will not be denied. That this is not the case with the words Sheol, Hades, Tartarus, and Gehenna, which we propose to examine, ought not to be taken for granted. We shall therefore attempt a consideration of all the places where these words occur, and endeavor to ascertain if by any of them the Spirit of God intended to convey the idea of a place of endless misery. Okay, section 1. All the passages of Scripture considered in which Sheol occurs, translated pit, grave, and hell in common English. The idea which most Christians have attached to the word hell is a place of future eternal punishment for all the wicked. Once again, a Christian concept. I remember several years ago, it was clearly over a decade ago. I think I was watching the History Channel. At one time, the Christian church, the Roman Catholic Constantine Christian Church, did not teach a hell doctrine. at all. This is why they started to teach a hell doctrine. Debauchery is nothing new. So a lot of these people were just living their lives not going to church. And when the pews were empty, that means the coffers were low. So they wasn't getting paid their money. And that's when they started to push the hell doctrine. If you don't do this, you're going to burn in eternal damnation. Filled them seats up so fast, and it lined their pockets. So it was never about saving souls. It was about fear to keep people in these churches and siphon their energy and siphon their wallets and their purses. Let's continue. Wherever they meet with this word in reading their Bibles, is our Bible, it calls up the idea of such a place of punishment, and by many it will be deemed the worst of heresies. To give it any other signification, forgive my speech. The cry of heresy ought not, however, to deter us from candidly inquiring what is truth on this deeply interesting question. I have ventured to inquire what saith the scriptures on this subject and would submit the result of my investigations for candid consideration. It is well known that there are 4 words in the original languages of the Bible which are all translated by the word hell in our common English version. These are Sheol, Hades, Tartarus, and Gehenna. The first 2 of these words are sometimes translated grave. So when you see hell, a lot of times in the so-called Old Testament, it is referring to the grave. Now, these Christians knew this. It's not a place where you burn for all eternity. The first 2 of these words are sometimes translated grave as well as hell. The last 2 always hell in the common translation. There is one fact which deserves attention at the outset, of which many readers of the Bible are ignorant. The fact I allude to is that the word hell does not occur once in all the Old Testament. Now, that would be the original manuscripts, where it means a place of eternal misery for the wicked. Exactly. The fact is indisputable. This is why we study from a Hebraic standpoint and not an Eurocentric standpoint. Because once again, the heathens were never given understanding or authority to transliterate our sacred scrolls. That's why we read through wisdom, the Ruach HaKodesh. The fact is indisputable. No man can doubt it who will take the trouble to examine this matter for himself. Exactly. Study to show thyself approved. Nor is this a novel opinion or a new discovery of mine. The fact is attested by some of the ablest writers who believed in this doctrine, lest my veracity may be doubted on this point. I will quote their words. I really don't care about what these heathens have to say, their quotes. Let's go further down. As this right here. As this word, and they put the word there, which occurs in 11 places of the New Testament and is rendered hell in all, except one where it is translated grave. It is quite common in classical authors. Now that's a key. We need to pay attention to that. Classical authors, and frequently used by the 70 in the translation of the Old Testament. In my judgment, it ought never in scripture to be rendered hell, at least in the sense wherein that word is now universally Catholicism understood by Christians. In the Old Testament, the corresponding word is Sheol, which signifies the state of dead in general without regard to the goodness or badness of the persons. He's wrong right here. See, this is why we have to study for ourselves. The good and the bad all go to Sheol. Without regard to the goodness or badness of the persons, their happiness or misery. In translating that word, the 70 has almost invariably used, and it goes into the word again. Scroll up. But right here, this word is also used sometimes in rendering the near synonymous words or phrases. Then it goes into the words or phrases. But we're about to make the point. Just be patient. The state is also represented under those figures which suggest something dreadful, dark, and silent, about which the most prying eye and listening ear can acquire no information. The term Hades is well adapted to express this idea. It is written anciently, as we learn from the poets. See, they're not the ancients. For what is called the poetic is nothing but the ancient dialect. See, they're always trying to make themselves ancient, and signifies obscure, hidden, invisible. To this, the word hell, in its primitive signification, perfectly corresponded. For at first, it denoted only what was secret or concealed. This word is found with little variation of form and precisely in the same meaning in all the Teutonic dialects. But though our word hell in its original signification was more adapted to express the sense of, and it goes into the words again, then it is not so now. Now here's the point. When we speak as Christians, we always express it by the place of the punishment of the wicked after the general judgment, as opposed to heaven, the place of the reward of the righteous. It is true that in translating heathen poets, so this person is admitting that the Bible was transliterated by heathens. And this person is a heathen too. He just cut himself. It is true that in translating heathen poets, we retain the old sense of the word hell, which answers to the Latin, once again, the language of left-handed witchcraft, or rather, infernus, of which we speak of the descent of Aeneas or of Orpheus into hell. And we all know the story of Orpheus. Now we starting to see the Greek influence on that so-called New Testament. Now the word infernus in Latin comprehends the receptacle of all the dead and contains both Elysium, the place of the blessed. Once again, that's more Grecian dogma, and Tartarus, the abode of the miserable. The term inferi comprehends all the inhabitants, good and bad, happy and wretched. Now that's more like Sheol, Tartarus. But once again, Tartarus is a Greek designation. The Latin words infernus and inferni bear evident traces of the notion that the repository of the souls of the departed is underground. This appears also to have been the opinion of both Greeks and Hebrews. Did you notice the switch? See, always trying to make themselves ancient. Why not put Hebrews first, since it goes back to Sheol? And indeed of all antiquity. How far the ancient practice of burying the body may have contributed to produce this idea concerning the mansion of the ghost of the deceased, I shall not take upon me to say, but it is very plain that neither in the Septuagint version of the Old Testament nor in the New does the word, it goes into the word again, convey the meaning which the present English word hell in the Christian usage always conveys to our minds. So when a lot of us think hell, we think of that Christian dogma, the stuff we've seen on TV, the stuff we read about in books, the stuff they taught us in these churches. That is not a Hebraic world view. That is a heathen world view. We're almost done with this book. Let's just make one more point. It was endless to illustrate this remark by an enumeration and examination of all the passages in both testaments wherein the word is found. The attempt would be unnecessary, as it is hardly now pretended by any critic that this is the acceptation of the term in the Old Testament. Who, for example, would render the words of the venerable patriot Jacob in Genesis 37, verse 35, when he was deceived by his sons into the opinion that his favorite son Joseph had been devoured by wild beasts? We know the story. Now let's bring out the precept. Genesis 37:3. And all his sons and his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted, and he said, for I will go down into the grave until my son morning. Thus his father wept for him. Now, when we go to grave,
Strong's H, 7585. Sheol, Sheol. And second entry, Sheol, Sheol.
Sheol, Sheol. This is why we really need to read with discernment, because when we're reading these transliterated Bibles, when we see the phrase hell, sometimes it means Sheol, and sometimes it means the grave. Grave, hell, the pit. Outline of the biblical usage: Sheol, underworld; grave, hell, pit, the underworld. Sheol, the OT designation, the Hebraic world view for the abode of the dead, a place of no return, without praise of the Most High, wicked sent there for punishment. And even these concordances we have to take with a grain of salt. Because remember, these are 66 book only concordances. But if you actually do a real deep dig in the Blue Letter Bible, they actually have precepts for the Apocrypha tucked in here. Because I've seen them. They have like Maccabees and other precepts, not just in the Apocrypha, but also in the Pseudepigrapha. So why aren't these verses in the Blue Letter Bible? But yet they're in here as precepts. Righteous, not abandoned to it, of the place of exile, of extreme derogation in sin. Now let's go here. The term hell, the modern day Christian term, it comes from Dante's Inferno, the divine comedy. Once again, it is Greek mythology imposed onto the text through the Hellenization. Well, we know this. See, once again, they have the fear image right here. They got the demons. We got these heathens. This is iconoclasm. Right here. Let's scroll down and read what it says. This is on Britannica. One of the most profoundly influential works in all of literature, The Inferno by Italian poet Dante. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. Helped to change the language of poetry and shaped people's ideas about the afterlife. So when you hear people quote that, oh, you're going to burn in hell, this is where it came from. This is where it was made famous, from Dante's Inferno. As the first section of the long narrative poem, The Divine Comedy, it came out in 1308. That would be the 14th century. It is composed of 3 sections, or canticles, which is written in Italian. The Divine Comedy traces Dante's fictional journey from darkness and error to the revelation of the divine light, culminating in his beatific vision of quote unquote God. The Inferno follows Dante, accompanied by the shade of the Roman poet Virgil, through hell, where he witnesses a harrowing roster of the damned and their gruesome punishments. After navigating hell, Dante journeys through purgatory and heaven, which are treated in the sections Purgatorio and Paradiso. Now let's go to the correct Hebraic understanding. You know what? Let's back up. Let's go here. I have this section highlighted. Let's read through it real quick. Here I lost my sight and I ended my speech with the name of Mary. And here I fell and my flesh remained alone. I will tell the truth, and do thou repeat it among the living. The angel of God took me, and he of hell cried out, O thou from heaven, why dost thou rob me? Thou bearest away for thyself the eternal part of him for one little tear which takes him from me, but of the rest I will make other disposal. If you didn't know any better and really didn't research, and if someone read this to you and they ask you where did this come from, the first thing people would probably say the Bible. That is actually a verse from the Divine Comedy, Dante's Inferno. It's Canto Section 5, translated in 1892. It reads just like Constantine Christianity. That's why you, once again, you can see that heavy, heavy Greek influence in that New Testament. And they tried to put it in the Old Testament by leaving out words like Sheol, because if you do a word search for Sheol, it's not in the Old Testament at all, whatsoever. Okay, now we'll go to the correct Hebraic understanding of Sheol and not hell. Okay, we are in First Enoch, and we're going to read chapters 102 through 103. Terror of the day of judgment, comfort to the suffering righteous ones. In those days, when he hurls out against you terror of fire, where shall you flee? And where shall you find safety? When he flings his word against you, you will not faint in fear. All the luminaries shall faint with great fear, and the whole earth shall faint and tremble and panic. And the angels shall fulfill their orders. The children of the earth will seek to hide themselves from the presence of the great glory, trembling and confounded. You, sinners, you are accursed forever. There is no peace for you. But you, souls of the righteous, fear not, and be hopeful. You souls that died in righteousness, be not sad, because your souls have gone down into Sheol. So let's go back up. But you, souls of the righteous, fear not, and be hopeful. You souls that died in righteousness, be not sad, because your souls have gone down into Sheol. Let's bring it up. So Sheol is not a place of eternal damnation for everyone. The righteous and the wicked all go to Sheol. Sheol in sorrow, or because your flesh fared not well, the earthly existence in accordance with your goodness. Well, let's read that over just to make it clear. Let's read it. Be not sad, because your souls have gone down into Sheol in sorrow, or because your flesh fared not well, the earthly existence in the accordance with your goodness. So good people go to Sheol. Indeed, the time you happen to be in existence was a time of sinners. So the goodly people were living in a time of sinners, a time of curse, and a time of plague. When you die, the sinners will speak over you. As we die, so do the righteous die. When then have they gained by their deeds? What then have they gained by their deeds? Behold, like us, they died in grief and in darkness. And what have they more than we? From now on, we have become equal. What will they receive, or what will they see forever? Behold, they have surely died, and from now on they shall never see light forever. Now I tell you, sinners, you have satiated yourselves with food and drink, robbing in sin, impoverishing people, and gaining property and seeing good days. Psalms 83. Have you seen the righteous, how their end comes about? For no injustice is found upon them until their death. But they perished and became like those who were not, and descended into Sheol, and their spirits too with anguish. So, once again, the righteous go to Sheol and the sinners go to Sheol. And if I'm correct, chapter 103 brings it home. The two destinies of the righteous and the sinners, more woes unto the sinners. I now swear to you, righteous ones, by the glory of the Great One and by the glory of his kingdom, I swear to you, even by the Great One. For I know this mystery. I have read the tablets of heaven and have seen the holy writings. Now, if I'm correct, you can read that in the Testament of Abraham. And I have understood the writings in them, and they are inscribed concerning you. For all good things and joy and honor are prepared for and written down for the souls of those who died in righteousness. Many and good things shall be given to you, the offshoot of your labors. Your lot exceeds even that of the living ones. The spirits of those who died in righteousness shall live and rejoice. Their spirits shall not perish, nor their memorial from before the face of the Great One unto all the generations of the world. Therefore, do not worry about their humiliation. Woe unto you sinners who are dead. When you are dead in the wealth of your sins, those who are like you will say of you, happy are you sinners. The sinners have seen all their days. They have died now in prosperity and wealth. They have not experienced struggle and battle in their lifetime. They have died in glory, and there is no judgment in their lifetime. So once you die, you receive judgment. You yourself know that they will bring your souls down to Sheol. So once again, the sinners and the righteous all are in Sheol, and they shall experience evil and great tribulation in darkness, nets, and burning flame. So all these people saying, oh, he's asleep, oh, Blasso Jackson, he's not under judgment. That is a Christian mentality. Your souls shall enter, and into great judgment. It shall be a great judgment in all the generations of the world. Woe unto you, for there is no peace for you. We're right here. Now to the righteous and kind ones during their lifetime, do not say, in the days of our toil, we have surely suffered hardships and have experienced every trouble. Who is in trouble? Jacob. We have faced many evil things and have become consumed. We have died and become few, characterized by the littleness of our spirit. We have been destroyed, and we have found none whatsoever to help us with a word or otherwise. None shall say deliver. We have been tortured and destroyed, and could not even hope to see life from one day to the other. You will have fear of your life, no assurity. See, this is why they don't like Enoch. See, they put together that Bible, and a lot of those precepts go back to Enoch. But they tell us not to read it. We hope to be the head and have become the tail. We hope to be the head and have become the tail. You know where that precept is at. We have moiled and we have toiled, but had no authority over our own toil. Deuteronomy 28. We have become the victuals of the sinners and the oppressors. They have made their yoke heavy upon us. Those who hate us, spirit of Cain, because Cain means hater. Those who hate us with goading us and encompassing us have become masters over us. We have bowed our necks to those who hate us, but they have no pity on us. We wanted to get away from them in order that we may escape and be at rest. But we found no place to which we might flee and be safe from them. Then in our tribulation, so we've already been through a tribulation. There's no upcoming Christian tribulation. Then in our tribulation, we brought a charge against them before the authorities, the heavenly courts, and cried out against those who were devouring us. But they, the authorities, neither would pay attention to our cries nor wish to listen to our voice. But on the contrary, they were assisting those who were robbing and devouring us, the Confederacy, those who were causing us to diminish. They, the authorities, conceal. They're the offenders, injustice, and do not remove the yokes of those who devour us. Scatter us. Christians weren't scattered. Scatter us and murder us. They were doing the murdering. They, the authorities, cover up our murder. And they, the authorities, those in rulership, do not remember the fact that they, the offenders, have lifted up their hands against us. So, as we can see in Enoch, we did not have a concept where once you died, you burned for all eternity. We went to Sheol. Once again, where the righteous and the wicked both went. All right, let's go to Enoch 51. Resurrection of the dead. In those days, Sheol will return all the deposits which she had received, and hell will give back all that which it owes. And he shall choose the righteous and the holy ones from among the risen dead. So, if hell is a place where all bad people go for all eternity, why are the righteous and the holy ones being returned from hell? It's Sheol. In those days, Sheol will return all the deposits which she have received, and hell will give back all which it owes. And he shall choose the righteous and the holy ones from among the risen dead, for the day when they shall be selected and saved has arrived. In those days, the elect one shall sit on my throne, and from the conscience of his mouth shall come out all the secrets of wisdom. For the master of the spirits, I don't use that L word, has given them to him and glorified him. In those days, mountains shall dance like rams, and the hills shall leap like kids, satiated with milk, and the faces of all the angels in heaven shall glow with joy, because on that day the elect one has risen, and the earth shall rejoice, and the righteous one shall dwell upon her, and the elect ones shall walk upon her. Once again, we did not believe in a Christian hell. Okay, now this is another section of Dante's Inferno. This is Canto 9. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up so we could see the Greek mythology in the concept of hell. He further spake, but I recall it not, for my whole earnest gaze was upward drawn towards the red summit of the lofty tower, where on point I suddenly beheld three furies of hell, and stained with blood, who female members had an woman's form, hydras of brightest green engirt them round, serpents they had for hair, and horned snakes, by which their cruel temples were entwined, and he who well indeed the handmaids knew. Now, this is where they get the concept of the three furies. You know what? Let's bring it up real quick. I'll go back to it. Let's pronounce it.
Arenes. Arenes.
Arenes. Look, Greek. Roman. The concept of hell goes back to the heathens. As you can see, there were furies, three goddesses of vengeance, blah, blah, blah. Greek mythology. You can see the iconoclasm. So once again, the concept of hell goes back to the Greeks. We, as ancient Israelites, we never believed in a concept called hell according to Christian theology. The legend of the Erinyes or Furies of ancient Greek mythology. That's where the hell doctrine came from. Once again, Greek mythology. Now, I normally don't pull wiki as a source, but I can say it's not the wiki from 20 years ago. It's good for basic information, especially when the source is cited. That is something that I wanted to point out in this. The Divine Comedy is an Italian narrative poet by Dante, begun in the century of circa like 1308 and completed 1321, shortly before the author's death. It is widely considered the preeminent work in Italian literature and one of the greatest works of Western literature. Not Hebraic, Western. The poet's imaginative vision of the afterlife is representative of the medieval worldview, the Eurocentric worldview. That's why we need to read all of the books from a Hebraic worldview, not a Eurocentric, of the medieval worldview as it existed in the Western church by the 14th century. It's Christian doctrine, proven plain and simple. Acts 24:15. And have hope toward the Most High, which they themselves also allow that there shall be a resurrection of both the just and the unjust. Now, the only reason I'm bringing up New Testament precepts is just to show and prove, even in the New Testament, it gives little signs that what they consider hell, because they believe that you go down to the grave, the just and the unjust are there. But a lot of these Christians believe that when you die, you go straight to heaven. But Enoch says otherwise. So let's read this again. Acts 24:15. And have hope toward the Most High, which they themselves also allow that there shall be a resurrection of the dead, both of the just and the unjust, who are in Sheol. John chapter 5, 28 and 29. Marvel not at this, for the hour is coming, in the which all that are in the graves shall hear his voice, and shall come forth, they that have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. So we have the good right here, and we have those who are done evil in Sheol. But they don't teach that. They teach the false hell doctrine. That's why we need to quit repeating it, because it's another deception. Daniel 12, 2 and 3. I love these two scriptures. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. Sleep means they have departed. But Christians will say, well, he's asleep. This person's asleep. They have no idea what's going on. No, sleep just means death in this context. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise, those who have understanding, the Ruach, and they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. Now let's go to the second death. I did a quick search. I advise that people look at these. And this second death is talking about those who are in Sheol, who will basically remain in Sheol. Because as we can see, the righteous will come out of Sheol and be resurrected. But the wicked in Sheol will be resurrected to a second death. That's what that means. And of course, that's only in their Grecian New Testament. Okay, let's go to Psalms 121. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I love this one too. We used to sing this growing up in the tabernacle. This part right here. We'll do verses 3. You know what? Let's read the whole thing in context. Yeah, forgive me for trying to stifle the spirit. Psalms 121, verses 1 through 8. A song of degrees. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Most High, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall not slumber nor sleep. Sleep. You will not remain in a dead state. The Most High is thy keeper. The Most High is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Most High shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Most High shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and ever and even forever. So even in what they call hell in the New Testament, transliterated incorrectly, you're in Sheol where your soul is preserved. And this is something else that I want to bring up for all these heathens that say we aren't the people. Let's look at verses 5 and verse 7. But we're going to read it backwards. The Most High shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. All evil. That includes our enemies. Now, how is the Most High going to do that? Let's go to verse 5. The Most High is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. So what is the Most High doing? He is throwing shade on our enemies. Whose terminology is that? Whose slang is that? Whose jargon is that? So even in the transliterations, the spirits always bear witness. And we'll end this on Tobit 13, verses 1 through 5. Tobit is the book that we really need to read more often because there are a ton of gems and wisdom in the book of Tobit. Then Tobit wrote a prayer of rejoicing and said, Baraka be the Most High that liveth forever, and Baraka be his kingdom. For he doth scourge and have mercy. He leadeth down to hell and bringeth up again. Neither is there that can avoid his hand. Now, this can have dual meanings because we already know that we go to Sheol and then he brings us back up. And we know hell can be, once again, a hard situation. Man, this person was giving me hell, but the Most High delivered me from that situation. Confess him before the Gentiles, the heathens, the nations of heathens, ye children of Yasharallah, for he have scattered us among them. They'll go amongst the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles, Christians. There declare his greatness and extol him before all the living. For he is our Elohim, and he is the power, our Father forever. And he will scourge us for our iniquities, and will have mercy again, and will gather us out of all nations among whom he have scattered us. So when we wake up in the lands of our captivities and we're regathered out of all nations, that is the Most High showing us mercy. So Mishbachah, we've proven without a shadow of a doubt that as ancient Israelites, we never believed in hell. So quit regurgitating that Christian dogma. And I understand, once again, we're all at different levels in this walk. This is why we have to study to show ourselves approved. You don't want to be stuck still in the mind frame of the abominable church, because we're supposed to be a new creature, a new creation in this truth. All praises to the Most High. Shalom.